This is the Henry's Child Podcast. Am I crazy? Or am I just raving?
Welcome, ladies, germs, and jelly spoons, to episode 81 of the Am I Crazy or Am I Just Raving podcast. Today I had two things that I wanted to discuss with you, one short-term and one long-term. So the first short-term item is that we are closing the loop on episode 80, that is the Jason Allen Kripe Am I Crazy or Am I Just Raving podcast, where he talked about bringing festivals to Lebanon. And I'm happy to announce that on Friday of last week, we were able to get a website and see a little bit more information about those performances. So if you can go to the henryschild.com website and click on performances up on top, right above the social links, you will see Northwest Best Street Fair Festival website. Go ahead and click that link, and that will open up to a site that Jason has created. And a couple things about this: it gives you the ability to get tickets for this, and it also shows the band lineup. And the cool thing is, you'll see that we are a complete sandwich menu for everybody who wants to come out and hear both bands in one place. This is the place to go. So it looks like 7 Second Circle is going to be opening the show, and Henry's Child is going to be closing it. So I believe that we were told that Henry's Child is going to be performing at 10 o'clock, so that'll kind of give you an idea about everything in between. Of course, we've got some great lineup here happening. So Boundless Joys from Salem. A couple of those guys were in Mike Bell's band, Big News. Sad Reason is going to play. Minor Anomaly, of course. Alamance, we played with those guys. And, of course, Colt and Chris with Sweater for an Astronaut. So it's awesome. It's going to be a great day. Come out. It's going to be Saturday, the 17th of June, down in Lebanon. So we're really, really looking forward to that. Again, the URL is nwstreetfest.com. And you can get there from the Henry's Child website by going to performances and clicking the link right above the social icons. So we really look forward to that and hope that you'll be able to make it there. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about podcasting. Now, recently I have changed up sort of some of this look, and this is actually done intentionally because I wanted to give you a little bit of education and describe to you why I went with something called Podcasting 2.0. Now, Podcasting 2.0 is a very dumb name for a very cool set of protocols that have been released. There are hundreds of these new protocols, but I wanted to make you aware of 4 of them, and it's and these 4 are actually the reason why I have moved over from a sort of a centralized CDN over to something that's a little more open and maybe a little more decentralized. So the first couple things that you'll notice is when you start to watch these or listen to them, depending on what browser you're using or what application you're using, you'll notice that I now have the ability to have chaptering. Now, this is important because it allows you to skip forward and backward on maybe some long podcasts to go back and listen to something that you wanted to check out from before, or something that you went back and wanted to send to a friend. Along with that chaptering, we can now also change the images in the background. And the reality is this all makes it a much more sort of interactive experience. And along with that is the ability to have the value for value model. So if you felt like you wanted to give back to any of the podcasters that you listen to routinely, you can do that anonymously, quickly, and with no fuss and no muss on the Lightning Network. Now, the catch is you need to look at these podcasts or listen to these podcasts on something that can read the Podcasting 2.0 protocols. And there are 2 that I've done some research on that I've made a recommendation of that is on the Henry's Child website. So the reason that I'm describing this is maybe not everybody will be watching the video because we're not quite up to video podcasts yet, unless you're on Spotify and you're Joe Rogan. But that is being paved along the way. So it's definitely something that's going to hopefully be coming down the road here pretty soon. Anyway, I've done some testing with this, and on the henryschild.com website, if you click on podcasts up on top, you will be taken to the podcast page. And on the podcast page, there's now two icons that sit in the middle of the screen. One is a microphone that has kind of this very colorful lotus flower behind it. And one of them is an icon of just blue headphones. Now, I tested out probably about 20 of these over both iOS, which is Apple, and Android operating systems. And these are the two that I feel like are probably the best from a user perspective, from like an ease of use perspective, and to try out something clean. So the first one, the one with the microphone and the lotus flower around it, is called Podcast Guru, and that's my official recommendation for iOS. And the blue headphones are for Podverse. Now, they also offer these both for each other. So you can use Podverse on iOS and you can use Podcast Guru on Android as well. These are just my personal preferences. So let me show you a really quick video of how I was able to do this and find this and set this up. So here I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up Podcast Guru. And I'm going to search for it and tap on it. And then in the section up on top that is the search section, I'm going to type in, am I crazy or am I just raving? And there may be two, and I'm going to look for the one that has the Presley Perez podcast in it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to tap on subscribe. Once I'm subscribed to it, you'll be able to open it up and watch it. I understand that's fairly uneventful, just in that I didn't actually scroll through all of the different chaptering and images that we could have. But it is definitely something that is worth checking out, and it's worth going out and getting a Podcast 2.0 app. And the other thing that I didn't talk about too much, but I did just want to slightly address, and if you've listened to any of these already and you know me personally, you know that I'm way more of a conspiracy therapist than I am a conspiracy theorist. And one of the things that Podcasting 2.0 allows us to do is to not be beholden to big, giant corporations. So if Apple decided one day that they didn't like the lyrics to Andy sang in Minding My Clarity, or they didn't like something Brian said on Divide, they could just cut us off for no reason and leave us out in the cold. With Podcasting 2.0, we continue to own the art that we've created. So it makes a lot more sense to take a few minutes to have these little extra steps, and it costs a little more money to host it, and it is a little more effort to do all that chaptering and stuff, but I think it's definitely going to be worth it in the long run, because we're moving to much more of a decentralized model all over everything. And we're just at the beginning of this revolution. And so I think that it is very important to continue to do this and have this be top of mind. And I appreciate things like Spotify and Apple Music, and I really do. And they've been very generous in the past. However, giving somebody the ability to turn you off at any time is kind of crazy. And I just want to kind of retain that control. So again, it's just something that I feel like it's important to mention, and I just appreciate your support. I truly do. So that's it for episode 81 of the Am I Crazy or Am I Just Raving podcast. I appreciate you so much. If you have not gone and subscribed to our newsletter, go to henryschild.com, scroll down until you see the section that says download, enter your first name and email address, and we will send you a different version of human being. Thank you so much for being a part of our lives, and we will see you June 17th in Lebanon at the Northwest Best Street Fair. Take care.
It came out my mouth.